Welcome to an exclusive StrataPrime conversation with Google about Chrome Enterprise. Thank you all for joining and to our speakers for participating in today's event. I'm Steve, VP of Sales at StrataPrime. StrataPrime is a Google Cloud Premier partner. We service organizations in Canada and the US with offices in Toronto and Buffalo, New York. We sell Google Cloud products and are experts in Workspace, GCP, Chrome Enterprise, and Google Voice. We have a deep specialization in work transformation, security and identity management, and infrastructure as a service. Gentlemen, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Andrew Livingstone. I'm principal architect here at StrataPrime. I've been an admin in the Google space for well over 10 years, and I've worked in software for over 20. I've been part of many large Chrome deployments, including deployments at large complex institutions.
Hi, everyone. Calvin Penny. I have over 10 years of experience working with enterprise and public sector organizations, and I've been with Google for 3 years.
Thank you very much. Our objective today is to introduce you to Chrome Enterprise, show you why Chrome is the obvious choice for security-conscious industries. We'll chat about key features of Chrome, illustrate its power through a customer use case, and answer your questions. To submit questions, please use the comment box and StrataPrime experts will respond. So with that in mind, let's get started. What is Chrome Enterprise?
Great question, Steve. Chrome Enterprise is a cloud-first solution built to support modern workforces. Chrome Enterprise consists of the cloud-native OS, Chrome devices, and the Chrome browser, which a lot of people are very familiar with. Chrome Enterprise allows IT to free up some time so they can have more impact on mission-critical tasks. With updates every 4 weeks that happen in the background, devices can stay up to date and secure without causing employee downtime.
Thanks, Calvin. So there seems to be quite a bit of confusion around the differences between Chrome and Chrome Enterprise. So perhaps you could elaborate on that for us.
Absolutely. This is a common question, especially when we talk to our customers, because naturally Chrome Enterprise or Chrome we have the browser, which is a very popular product, and then we have the full enterprise solution. So the browser is included in our enterprise solution. So just like I mentioned before, we have the ChromeOS, which is your cloud native operating system. We have the browser where you can have access to your applications. And then we have our Chrome devices.
Great, thanks for that. So at a high level, how is Chrome Enterprise different from other offerings on the market today?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Steve. So in terms of how Chrome Enterprise is different, it's really the only solution that allows you to secure every aspect of delivering a secure application to an end user. And I find the best way to illustrate that is actually comparing it to how you would do the same thing on a traditional endpoint, like a Mac or Windows device. So on a Mac or Windows device, our first priority is going to be to protect the operating system. So oftentimes that means installing third-party antivirus and anti-malware systems. Our next priority then is going to be to ensure that the device is managed. So that's going to be a device management solution to make sure that we're doing patching and that's federated with identity providers and we're disallowing certain activities on the device. And then it would come time to actually presenting the secure application to the user, and oftentimes that will involve a third piece of technology, which might be a VDI workload to present a virtual desktop. So that solution in this simple example can include 3 pieces of different vendor technology, each that need to be secured and patched and managed. If we were to compare that architecture with doing the same thing in Chrome Enterprise, all we need is Chrome Enterprise. The operating system itself is tamper-proof, so it cannot be modified by an end user or a service that's running on the machine, and that reduces our threat surface because now we don't need to run a separate antivirus or anti-malware application on the device. All of the device management is included, as Calvin just said. So managing that endpoint from when it's patched, when it's updated, who can sign into it, what applications can be accessed, that's all included in Chrome Enterprise. And then when it comes time to deliver the application to the end user securely, with Chrome Enterprise, we can also allow list and deny list applications so that end users can only access the applications that we want them to. So what makes it different is the simplicity, right? We can cover that whole solution with a single vendor product. And it's a fairly well-known architectural principle that when you reduce the number of technologies, you're reducing your points of integration. That reduces your threat surface, reduces your cost, not only of implementation and maintenance. So that's what makes us different, is it's just a simpler way to deliver very secure applications.
Some really key points there, Andrew. Thanks for those. But are there any other additional benefits that Chrome Enterprise offers, especially in our hybrid work environment today?
Yeah, I mean, when we're thinking about hybrid work, and I would say particularly in, industries where we have high security requirements, right? So we're talking about finance, we're talking about healthcare, where we have things like HIPAA compliance and high trust certification, where we have SOC 2 compliance. So Chrome Enterprise, by nature of the design I just sort of went through, where we have all of the device management controls built in, the ability to determine what users can access, allows us to meet all of the controls and certification requirements for those industries. And as I said, we can do it oftentimes at a much lower cost and complexity, because there's not going to be multiple vendor solutions that need to be implemented, configured, and patched. So that ends up with solutions that can be deployed for those sort of rigorous organizations that are going to be in finance, healthcare, insurance. We can deliver applications faster to users and oftentimes with much more security.
Great, thank you. And perhaps Calvin can talk us through the 4 pillars of Chrome Enterprise.
Yeah, absolutely. So one key thing that I saw that was very important for employees, especially coming out the pandemic, was fast deployment. We had employees, we had organizations that needed to get devices out to their employees ASAP. So one of the key pillars is fast deployment and easy management. The next one is apps for every worker. We allow users to have access to not only their web apps, but they can also have access to their virtualized apps, say if they have legacy apps that they would put into a Citrix environment or VMware environment. The next thing is a modern employee experience, where now employees, we've moved into somewhat not a remote world, but into a hybrid work world. And fourth, kind of what Andrew talked about previously with highly regulated industries, we have built-in proactive security. And last, we have a smart eco-friendly investment where ChromeOS is designed to minimize costs and energy consumption over time. We've seen businesses are able to save up to about $482 per device. And that report was done by ESG. And also, we make our Chromebooks with recyclable materials, and Chromebooks consume up to 46% less energy than other devices.
Yeah. Just to add there, Calvin, I know this comes up a lot, but when people are doing total cost of ownership, oftentimes the thing that they will overlook is about power consumption and the device footprint, and also sort of end of life activities. And there's huge savings there as well. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Calvin, because it's something that kind of isn't very talked about often.
So are there any complementary products that work with Chrome to really transform an organization today?
Yeah, I mean, well, Calvin mentioned a couple of really good ones there about sort of apps for every worker. So what that really means is, Chrome natively supports technologies that companies are using today. So that means things that are not necessarily Google products, right? So Microsoft Office, right? You can run full mobile applications and full browser applications of those products. You can run Microsoft Teams, you can run Slack. You can use these technologies that companies are using because they're natively supported on Chrome Enterprise, and we can deliver them in a very secure way. Now, looking at Google's own products and services that are complementary, we have Google Workspace, which is our cloud productivity solution. And that enables a lot of really powerful zero trust deployments of collaboration, access to email, documents, and chat through Chrome Enterprise. And also Google Voice, where we're able to deliver voice systems to employees in a very secure way. And that unlocks a whole bunch of opportunities, from hybrid workers, as Calvin was saying, where you don't know where they're going to be, but you want to have high security around their access, to even things like call centers, where staff might be remote or unable to come into the office. We can deliver that with Google Voice and Chrome Enterprise in a very secure package. So for my friends in highly regulated industries, there's also some solutions that we can deploy to Chrome through BeyondCorp Enterprise, which is a premium security offering that Google has, where we can actually do things like built-in DLP. So if we have employees that we want to be able to access information, but not be able to download files or upload files to third-party clouds, we're able to control that experience. So there's a lot of complementary products, Steve. It's not only the market solutions that people want to use like Slack and Teams and Zoom today, but it's also some of these deeply integrated security offerings that Google has that will meet the highly rigorous needs of finance, insurance, and healthcare industry today.
That's great. Certainly some compelling features and benefits there, Andrew. So I'm interested in Chrome for my organization, but what key considerations do I need to think about?
So Steve, this is typically where I tell people to start. We have what's called a Chrome readiness tool, which is free, and it's a private tool to assess your Windows devices in your organization to find out what applications or what devices are ready to move to ChromeOS devices. The Chrome readiness tool provides insight into your workforce usage and apps and identify Windows devices that can switch fully to ChromeOS. It's easy to deploy, it's lightweight, and it's private. So 4 simple steps on how the tool works. 1, we just deploy it, and the tool is deployed on your Windows device. 2, it monitors your app usage, and it captures app usage privately. 3, it's verified against your database. Used apps are compared against a verified database. And then last, it gives you a summary report, and the devices are categorized as cloud ready, needing virtualization support, or not ready in a report.
Thanks, Kelvin. So I'd like to know more about deployment of Chrome. So perhaps we can look at a specific use case. Let's chat further about one of our customers who are a virtual mental health services provider based in New York City.
Absolutely, Steve. This customer is an online mobile therapy company, and they saw a huge uptick in demand for psychotherapy during COVID-19, which increased the emotional toll of the workers and put restrictions on places where the employees could work. So the customer believed they could simplify the way they provision devices to therapists, and they specifically noted that they liked the security benefits of Chrome that would protect their therapists from ransomware and malware attacks. Another deciding factor that helped move this decision forward was the total cost of ownership. They would see in hard costs and soft costs significant savings, which resonated with the leadership team as they were preparing for an IPO.
Yeah, and I think just to add from the technical perspective, in working with this customer and evaluating the alternatives that we had a real time crunch in that we needed to deploy these devices quickly and it needed to be done securely. So we compared doing this with Chrome Enterprise, where we could pre-enroll devices and drop ship them directly to the therapists. And as soon as they booted them up, they were secured with all of the policies that were needed to protect the data. I mean, from a security perspective, this is probably one of the most sensitive use cases that you can deal with, right? This is therapist and patient. There's tons of personal information, private health information. So the security was, as Calvin said, a very top priority. So when we compared with them using Chrome Enterprise with the single vendor solution, being able to manage the endpoint, present the application to the therapist, manage all of the data that gets created in a very secure way, versus them trying to do this in a rapid fashion with a traditional endpoint where they're going to be purchasing and deploying a third-party anti-malware service, device management tools, and then figuring out how to present the application to the therapist for this telehealth scenario, they weren't going to be able to meet their timelines, and the budget was going to be much higher. So for this customer, the choice was really obvious, not only on its technical merits, but as Calvin said, there was a huge total cost of ownership benefit to going with Chrome Enterprise here.
So given that most of the end users are non-technical people, can you tell us about how these devices were distributed and configured?
Sure. We worked with our OEM partners to help with the deployment of their new devices. And StrataPrime was able to coordinate the deployment with our OEM partners to deliver white glove services coupled with zero-touch enrollment, known as ZTE. We were also able to do a buy and hold that allowed the customer to proactively plan and solve for potential supply chain issues that could arise to put the project at risk. With zero-touch enrollment, IT departments can dropship Chrome OS devices that will automatically enroll in the Enterprise admin tool as soon as the end users connect to the internet.
So as these devices were shipped direct from our OEM partner and the company never touched the devices, can you tell us about how the company has some level of security control over those devices?
Yeah, I mean, it's total control, Steve. I mean, as Calvin said, with the zero-touch enrollment or ZTE program, the devices are pre-registered as they belong to the company. So as soon as that device is booted up and finds internet, as Calvin said, and the user signs in, all of the policies are immediately pushed. So all of the solution design that we did around securing the endpoint, dealing with patching, limiting application access for the therapists, and all the aspects of the technical solution that allowed us to meet the regulatory requirements around sensitive healthcare data and high trust certification, which this customer was high trust certified. That's all happening at the time the user signs in. So the administrators at the company have full control in that the end user has no option to choose or modify the operating system or that experience. And we have complete control of being able to secure and hold, remote wipe, and recall devices if needed. So even though we don't have physical access, we maintain total control because of the way that Chrome Enterprise manages the endpoints.
Excellent, thank you, Andrew. So what was the final result of this project, and what key benefit did Chrome offer this customer?
Steve, the customer successfully deployed 600 devices with 250 in storage and was able to reduce their hardware CapEx budget by around 40%. I thought Chrome provided a scalable solution for a customer that was looking for a way to modernize the way they enabled their virtual therapists around the country, with 100% of the applications being used in the cloud. Moving to a lightweight cloud operating system was an easy choice to make, given the future direction of the company.
Great, thank you, Calvin. And post-deployment, did the company raise any questions or concerns? And what support was available to them after that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that. So, at StrataPrime, we work really closely with our customers on deployments, especially in highly regulated industries. So it doesn't stop at the actual definition of the solution and the implementation. We stayed with this customer post-implementation and also participated in their high trust audit, just to help make sure that they were settled in the application, because everything was deployed so quickly, and making sure that they had all of that telemetry data, controls, and reporting that they needed to satisfy their audits. And that's really just how we choose to work, Steve. It's not really just about the solution. It's about a partnership with our customers and providing them the advice and support that they need. And that's something that we just do with every deployment, because it's just as important as the technical implementation.
So thank you both for providing us an overview of Chrome Enterprise and walking us through that particular customer use case. We've received some questions ahead of time, so let's get to them. We've covered this one actually at the beginning of the conversation, but just Calvin, perhaps you can just clarify again for our audience. What's the difference between Chrome and Chrome Enterprise?
So Chrome is used to refer to a Chrome browser and/or Chrome for consumer users. Chrome Enterprise is an umbrella of business offerings that includes the Chrome browser for business, ChromeOS for business, and ChromeOS devices also for business. Our Chrome devices consist of our Chromebook and our Chrome box, our Chrome base, and our Chrome tablets.
Yeah, Steve, just building on that question, something else that comes up occasionally, and I know Calvin gets this a lot too, is especially in the last few years, we've had customers that will have like a bring your own device situation, where somebody has purchased a Chromebook through like retail setting, which, as Calvin said, is a Chromebook. It's unmanaged. It's not Chrome Enterprise. So I think what some people don't know is that they can purchase a license to take that Chromebook and enrollment into the enterprise controls, at which point Chrome Enterprise is enabled on that device. So all the things that I was mentioning before about managing the OS, managing user settings, securing applications, all of that can be added to a consumer Chromebook with the purchase of an enterprise license.
Great, thank you, Andrew. So a commonly raised concern, in fact, that's been raised a few times by our viewers, is that they have an Office 365 or a Microsoft environment, and they want to understand whether getting Chrome Enterprise means they need to switch all of their top technologies over to Google.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely not. I mean, as we covered earlier today, what Calvin mentioned at this point is that we can run modern apps that run any business, right? So that includes Office 365, it includes Teams, it includes, things like Slack and Zoom. Those are applications that we natively support. So the answer to the question is, do you need to get rid of your Office 365 tenant and adopt Google Workspace? No, But I can tell you that Calvin and I probably think you should, but we'll leave that discussion for another day. So we can absolutely support those applications. Now, other aspects of this that come up usually in more technical conversations that I have is around identity management, right? So if you're a Microsoft shop and you're using, Active Directory on-premise or Azure Active Directory or even Okta for identity management for your organization, Chrome Enterprise supports federating with those sources. So if you have Active Directory on-prem, we can authenticate and log into those Chrome Enterprise devices using ADFS. If you're at Azure Active Directory, we support SAML, SSO, and provisioning and sign-in to Chrome Enterprise devices. And with Okta, we can also do the same thing. So in terms of apps for every worker and kind of some of the discussion that we were having earlier, that extends to authentication and certain aspects of security. And not to make this an overly technical session, but what also follows then is like, what about certificates, right? So absolutely, we can deploy root and user level certificates, including things like SCEP for certificate enrollment from Microsoft environments, because in highly regulated industries, you need certificates in order to authenticate users onto networks. So we support all of those things fully with Microsoft environments. And I said I wouldn't make it too technical. We can definitely have offline conversations if anybody wants to talk about that further.
So another very commonly asked question, do you need Google Workspace?
Similar to what Andrew said, like we would love for you to use Google Workspace. However, it's not required. We have customers that use O365 on ChromeOS, and it works really well. So if that's an issue, it shouldn't be a concern. We're pretty much open to whatever solution that you want to use on a cloud, and Google Workspace is not required. However, I mean, if you do want to use Google Workspace, it works just as well as the others.
Absolutely, Kelvin, thank you. So what are some examples of Chrome Enterprise integrating with Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean, just some of the ones that I mentioned around identity management and federation, right? And providing the ability for users to sign into Chrome devices with Active Directory, whether it's on-premise or at Azure. The integration of the Microsoft products, so we can run, as I said, the full mobile versions of those apps as well as full in-browser. Microsoft Teams is an application that's available, so you can have the full Teams experience on a Chrome device if that's something that you need. And that also extends to some other aspects of security around, telemetry from the devices and threat detection. So all the device logs, sign-ins, all the information that's being gathered in the admin console can also be federated to third-party SIM tools for threat detection and logging. That includes things like Azure Sentinel, which is a really common product used in Microsoft environments, or products like Slack. So that integration, Steve, goes across everything from authentication, the application access, and also the telemetry, logging, and threat detection that most highly regulated industries would be interested in.
So that concludes our webinar today. I'd like to thank the audience for attending and especially to our guests. Please visit StrataPrime.com to download a summary of Chrome Enterprise. You can also contact us for any additional information. We will be more than happy to speak to you about that. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn, find out more about some upcoming events that we're going to be hosting.
Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.